Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another AutoTrader Podcast. My name is George Mienie, and I'm joined by none other than Wandile Sishi, but we have somebody else in the studio with us, and I'd like to welcome back Greg Maruszewski. How are you, Greg?
Good afternoon. Good to be back.
Yes, good to be back. And we were just talking before the show that the last time we did this with the Volvo XC40, the show did very, very well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are interested in what Volvo has to offer, so we're going to give them what they want.
Glad to hear that. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, in today's episode, the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge, which we have in the studio with us today, the CEO of Volvo South Africa, and we're going to talk mainly about the XC40 P8 Recharge, but also about Volvo's future plans. So getting right into it, Greg, and I did pronounce Maruszewski right?
Good. Very good, yeah.
Very good.
Lots of practice at night in the mirror.
Well, I knew it was happening today, so it was like Maruszewski. So, no, I'm only kidding. I think I got it from last time. Greg schooled me. So giving us a little bit of background about who Greg is, how did you end up at Volvo?
Sure, that was 22 years ago, I think.
Wow.
I used to work for a company called Wheels of Africa.
Yeah.
Some of you might remember with Billy Reuterbach. And then one thing led to another, and I ended up with the private importer of Volvo cars. And then when Volvo opened up their subsidiary here in 2000, I joined that, and that's how it started.
Did you join at the top of the ranks, or did you?
I joined in finance, so I was the finance director when I joined. And then I moved with finance to Dubai, and I took over as the MD in Dubai, and then went through a couple of other countries as the MD, and landed back in South Africa in 2015.
Yeah, very interesting.
So you've just been in and out of South Africa. This is kind of your second home at this point.
Well, I was out for, I think it was 14 years. And came back in 15, yeah.
Okay.
It's funny how many accountants run the world.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of a theme at this point, yeah.
Because I used to be an accountant as well. I think I told you the last time. It's it's funny how it's either accountants, or it's marketing people, or it's engineers.
I'd like to think I wasn't a normal accountant.
Yeah, me either. Don't worry. That's why I'm putting myself in the same camp as you. I wasn't normal. I don't think I'm normal still.
I think there are some positions which are, I think it's a very good background to have the company.
I think
background.
so. A lot of understanding of the business and like people relations, I think, comes from there. So,
well, your CFO can't pull the wool over your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Not that she should. So before we kick off, a couple of quick fire questions, Greg, and if you could answer these with whatever comes to mind. What is the most interesting job you've ever had?
I would have to say it's this one. It's probably the most challenging, yeah.
Okay. Book or movie? Movie. In terms of holiday, bush or beach?
Bush.
And when did you become MD of Volvo South Africa?
It was August 2015.
2015. And in terms of car, ICE, battery, electric or hybrid?
I would have to say electric now. I think last time I said plug-in hybrid.
You did, yeah.
You did.
Changed my mind.
Battery electric after he's driven these. And then what was your first car?
It was Ford Escort XR3.
I remember that discussion. Yes, I remember the Ford Escorts. We must be of similar age, I think. I'm not going to reveal yours or mine.
I don't even know what car that is. So
Ford Escort.
I mean,
XR3.
I've seen it in pictures, but I've never experienced it.
You've missed out.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
That's like having a Golf 1 GTI.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I think a friend of mine had that one. It was always a competition.
Yes.
All 71 kilowatts.
All 70, yes, true. Now we've got 300. And then what is your current car?
The XC90 T8, the plug-in hybrid.
Nice.
But you might just get converted to.
If we had enough stock of that.
Yeah.
Well, you said the same thing last time because the XC90 at that time I don't think there were many of them. And I asked you, drive one of these every day, and you had the same answer. It's like there's just not enough of them.
Yeah, so the T8, is a surplus? Probably not, but there's always extra one. But the recharge cars at the moment, they're very scarce. So we've sold everything that we had.
Yeah.
And you have to take one when the customers are waiting. It's not the right thing to do.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's, the CEO doing the right thing, putting the customer first, and not driving what he wants to drive. I think he's going to end up in an EV though, but we'll find out.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, we just heard it first.
Yes,
he's
exactly.
being converted slowly but surely.
So what, Greg, makes this Volvo EV so different? The XC40 P8 Recharge. What makes it so different from other electric vehicles?
Well, I think just the fact that it's electric, compared to the ICE cars that we're so used to, it's a totally different car, different engineering. The driving a battery car, it's so different. You get instantaneous power, you get a lot of power. It's very quick off the mark. So I think you have to experience it, because you can hear about it, you can read about it, until you drive it. Until you get that smile on your face. It's
and literally you haven't stopped smiling since you walked in. It's insane.
No, exactly. I mean, we were somewhere with the team a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said that what you lose in exhaust noise, right, frees up your senses to really appreciate the car's torque. Because your senses are only, you got so many of them. And we often associate speed and sound, and in an electric car, it's speed and sound are not correlated.
And I think it's something to get used to.
Yeah.
Because obviously, with no engine sound, you do pick up the road noise, the wind noise.
Yes.
But then you just turn the radio up higher.
Yes.
But it is, it's just so unexpected that you got this acceleration that almost pushes you back into your seat.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything.
I mean, last time when you came here, you spoke about the T8 and how quick the acceleration was. You said that was the most exciting part of the vehicle. I mean, this must be...
Changed my mind. This one.
It's the speed of this one.
It's only half a second quicker on paper, but it feels so much quicker because it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
And it just carries on going. It doesn't change gears. It just carries on.
Going and going and going
50,
until the end.
120.
Well, that torque curve is so steep, right?
Yeah.
In an EV.
Yeah.
So what is the range of this XC40?
WLTP, it's 418.
418. And, in terms of WLTP, I mean, we all know WLTP is really kind of free rolling test without any rolling resistance or drag. And they never really, no EV gets to the WLTP number. I mean, we know that. So it's no criticism on Volvo at all. What do you think the real world range of this XC40 is?
I think it depends how you drive, because, with a petrol car, the more highway you do, the better fuel consumption is. With the electric car, it's the total opposite. The slower you go, your city driving is probably more efficient. Not probably, it is more efficient than highway driving. So I would say probably mid 300s is fair.
Yeah.
Something to check out. Cars are still fresh in the country.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a chance to drive it all that much. But I think mid 300s, we'll see.
Which is definitely more than you need on any daily basis for anybody, really.
Yeah.
I think Monday to Friday, when you're driving to the office, to the shops, to school, whatever you're doing, it's perfect.
It's fine.
It does require a bit of planning when you do long distances.
Yeah.
So if you're going to the bush, 300, 400 kilometers, you'll probably get there. Just got to make sure that you
can charge
somewhere to come back.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a couple of long trips now in different EVs. Not to the bush, I must be honest. I've gone there. Mainly down our main highways. And I haven't had a problem at all. At 350 kilometers, the furthest charger that I've ever driven to was 200, I think just over 220 kilometers away.
Yeah.
And
between
the cars
stops.
Between stops, yeah. And the cars make it there easily.
I think most of the infrastructure is every 200 plus minus kilometers going to Durban, going to Cape Town. Probably if you go north, it might not be like that yet.
Yes.
But it's expanding very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did notice that up, I think there's a charger in White River, somewhere around there. But further than that, going to the Kruger, you're not going to really find too much.
And I know they are looking at all the national parks, so that's just a matter of time before it's expanded.
For sure.
Yeah. So you don't want to be stuck in a flat battery, at night in the Kruger Park with the lions and the elephants.
Yeah. So when the car first came out, I did see that Volvo was going fully online with regards to purchasing the XC40. Is that something that you guys are going to be rolling out across all your vehicles, or is there sort of a plan just for this vehicle right now?
So it was a corporate strategy to roll out the online purchase, all the cars, but then for the electric cars, they can only be purchased online.
Yeah.
Delivery still happens through the dealer, but the purchase happens online.
I think Volvo's probably, if not the only OEM in South Africa right now, is doing that.
Well,
BMW,
I mean, it depends on how far down the purchasing funnel you go, right? So how does finance work? Or is it really just is it order and payment and then you collect? How does that journey work?
So I would say, depending on how you want to finance it. So we've got three options. You can either rent it, you can buy it, and this applies to all the cars, not just EV. You can buy it, you can rent it, or you can finance it. If you want to buy it, basically 99% of the purchase can be done online. You select a dealer, and then you go to the dealer to sign the papers.
So you configure your car first?
Well, it's basically we've done that all the cars which are available locally.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to finance it, you can get the approval. If it's through Volvo Car Finance, you can get the approval online, and then you go to the dealer to finalize it. And then if it's a rental option, you can do 100% online. So you submit all your papers, the approval is done in the back, but then you get approval online, and then you select the dealer where you would like the car to be delivered to, where you can pick it up.
Is that true rental, or is it creative finance?
That's a true rental. So
true rental.
So it's not rent to own anything.
No, so there's no deposit. It's X amount of monthly payments. You select the mileage. It's 12, 24 months. I think there's a 36-month option as well now. And then after that,
you return the car.
So it's not even automatic. You keep the car unless you don't want it. No, you return the car. If you want to buy it, we can make a plan, but that will be a separate transaction.
Okay. Would it be, what if you rented it, let's say, for 2 years and you want to now own it? We can
do that. So there'll be a value of the car.
Okay.
But it's not assumed that you will take ownership and you have to give it back.
Yeah.
You give it back. If you want it, that will be a separate transaction there.
Understood.
So we spoke about the XC90 at the beginning, the Recharge. The biggest difference besides size between the XC40 and the XC90 in terms of battery pack and motors, what are they?
Well, for us, the Recharge is anything with a cord. So right now, we don't have a fully electric XC90. So the Recharge XC90 is a plug-in hybrid, whereas with the XC40 in South Africa, we don't have a plug-in hybrid XC40. We have the ICE, the mild hybrid, and then we have the fully electric one.
Okay, so that is a major difference. So plug-in hybrid versus full battery electric. XC90 is plug-in, XC40 is plug-in hybrid, XC40 is full battery electric, also plug-in, but there's no internal combustion engine in there.
So ultimately, Recharge means it's a plug-in.
It's with a cord.
It's with a cord.
Whether it's a smaller battery with an ICE engine, or a full electric one, but it's got a cord that you plug in.
Okay, the more you know.
Exactly. Are the XC90 Recharges still available in South Africa?
They are.
Okay. Yeah. And do you know how many Volvo sold?
The plug-in hybrids.
Yeah.
I know we have a very high segment share, so at the moment there's not that much competition. I would say we're probably 75 of the plug-in hybrid segment.
Oh wow.
Size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that long because I mean when this car came out, it was mid last year.
Or the XC40?
No, the 90.
Oh, the 90.
16, 17.
The Recharge.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't called the Recharge, but it was the plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid, okay. And then tell us about your Volvo Care Package, because you have a Volvo Care Package that is taken as an optional extra.
No, that comes with the car. Okay. So any electric car, which is right now the XC40, comes with the Volvo Care Package. And that includes, obviously, the normal 5-year, 100-kilometer warranty that any car comes with and the service plan. But then it's got 3 years of comprehensive insurance, fully covered. It also comes with a home charger with all the cables, the public cable as well.
Yeah.
I think what's unusual is that it also comes with a 3-year, 2-week-a-year rental of an ICE car.
If you want to go on holiday to, say, the bush.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we know that the range anxiety is there. We know that the infrastructure is not covering the whole country yet. So just to give that peace of mind, for 2 weeks a year, you'll be able to get a car delivered to the dealership of your choice. You go on holiday, you come back, you take your car back.
And that is a used car, I'm assuming, that you get the use of.
I mean,
or a demo.
Some people, they'll be fortunate enough to get the first one.
Okay.
Obviously, if there's 2 customers, one after the other, then it will be handed down.
Have you had instances of that in South Africa yet?
We've just started delivering these cars in January, so it will take a while.
Take a while to get there. I mean, we did speak about this. We touched on it last time.
We did briefly, yeah. But I mean, obviously, I didn't understand that. The car wasn't out yet, so we didn't really get context of if people are actually using it yet.
Yeah. We got very good feedback on that option. So whether customers use it or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that just gives them some peace of mind that if we want to go to Durban, for example, we'll probably take our own car because there are these charging stations.
Yes.
But if you go north or towards Uppington, where there might not be so many charging stations, then they have that option.
The care package. So in terms of insurance under the care package, you say that it's, so do you purchase that right up front?
Well, when you buy the car, it's included.
Included in the, okay. So you don't have to worry about insurance for 3 years of the car's life, which is, I think it's amazing. I mean, if you think about that, average insurance is over R1,000 a month. I mean,
for sure.
I think my insurance on my EV is, I think it's about just on R2,000 a month, something like that. So that's 2448. It's like you're saving like 60 odd thousand rand in insurance.
And it depends on who the driver is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
So how much is the XC40 going for?
It's 1.2 million.
Okay.
So
1.2 million.
Yeah, so it's not from 1.2 million.
Okay, that's interesting because a lot of OEMs base prices don't include optional extras.
There isn't really. You can choose the color, and you can choose the upholstery, but there's no change in price.
Yeah.
1.2 million, all inclusive. Choose the color, and then the care package is included in that.
We had, I think it was the Audi e-tron in here, which was almost double the price, but the range wasn't as much. So this is good value, in my opinion, in terms of some of the other vehicles.
We were one of the first ones, I think, to announce the prices. There were 1 or 2 other cars available.
Yeah.
We had a look. We think it's well positioned. I think it shows with the orders we've been taking. So we're happy with it. The customers are happy.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
It's a win-win, exactly. So is Volvo planning on introducing any other EVs in the future?
Yes.
Which ones and when?
Just yes.
So this is the first one. There will be a XC40 with a smaller engine being introduced later on in the year, towards the second half of the year. And then I think we've seen the C40. That's no secret. That will come towards the end of the year.
Okay. So it sounds like there'll be about 3 introduced in this year. And any kind of idea of what the kind of total lineup might be in terms of volume of...
Well, we said that we will release a new electric car, at least one or 2 every year.
Okay.
So for South Africa, it will be 3 this year.
Yes.
This one was delayed. And then 2023, 24, 25, there'll be at least 2 new cars globally. So we'll get them maybe 6 months after that.
Okay.
And then, following on from that, Wanda, you were telling me that Volvo's ambition is that around 50% of their cars will be pure electric by 2025, and the other 50% hybrids. Now, let's just define hybrids. Hybrids are plug-in hybrids. They're also hybrids that mainly use petrol engine that are assisted by electric. So don't confuse hybrids between. There's quite a range of hybrids,
different
right?
types, yeah.
Tell us about that EV future with 50% being EV battery electric.
Yeah, so globally, we're aiming for 50% by 2025 and 100% by 2030 to be fully electric by the end of the decade. It will vary country by country. So obviously South Africa will not be 50% by 2025.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the future is going to be of electric in South Africa. I think it's starting off very slowly.
Yeah.
But if you look at the last 6 months even, I think
it's
will surprise
escalating
us.
quite, yeah.
Yeah, it's done quite well. So new versus used. I mean, obviously OEMs put new cars out in the market, and those eventually become used cars. How important is used cars for Volvo South Africa?
I think it's very important. We used to be saying the next best thing to a new Volvo is a used Volvo. So for some customers, it is an entry level into the Volvo family.
Yes.
And if you don't have a good, solid program of the used cars, I think eventually you're going to struggle to sell new cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they'll drive a new Volvo every 2 or 3 years, but they have to do something with the old one.
Of course.
And they're not happy with the value that they're getting. So we look after the used car business quite a lot, and there's dealers who participate in the programs. We've got the Select program, so it is very important.
So tell us about that Volvo Select program. How does it work? What does it do for the consumer?
Essentially, for the buyer of the car goes through a number of checks, and besides the software being upgraded, there's quality checks. So I think it does give a peace of mind to the customer that if they buy a used car from Volvo, there's a certain amount of checks that's been done on the car. And we've got access to the history of that car, which then we can share with the customer. So rather than buying it from somebody that's unknown, I think it does.
So you're still getting a full Volvo experience. It's not like some sort of that's wonderful.
Let's kind of talk about the elephant in the room that everybody is, I think, misinformed by, and that is this concept of load shedding. What is load shedding?
It's not a concept. I mean, it's a real phenomenon in South Africa. It does happen. But how does it impact?
I don't know who came up with the name, but it's dumb.
What would you call it if you had an opportunity to call?
I think blackout is not so
popular.
I think load shedding probably sounds better.
Yeah, it does. It sounds politically correct, load shedding. But
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, I suppose it makes sense. I'm just anecdotally, it's just.
But what does it mean for EV owners? How does it? I mean,
what does it mean to the rest of the world when you tell anybody from any other country that we have load shedding? Like,
I've had that conversation many times with people from outside, and it's very hard to explain.
Yes.
Controlled blackouts, I think, is the...
Yes. So there we go. That's probably the more technical term rather than load shedding. What is controlled blackouts?
And those don't happen like every day. So,
but there's countries around the world that have controlled blackouts. We're not the only ones.
There's some countries with non-controlled, and even the USA had it in California.
Yeah.
I was out for a number of weeks. So we're not unique. I think we're unique in how long it's been carried on for and how often it comes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it was it Uganda that had a blackout not so long ago?
Yeah, and Mozambique as well, yeah.
I believe, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I believe that if we don't have controlled blackouts or load shedding, that if the country has an uncontrolled blackout,
it's going to go down for a while.
Yes, because you can't just switch the switches up.
Yeah.
Apparently the system can't. There's a particular kind of protocol and order in which you have to do this. And you can cause major damage to the grid.
Yeah.
I believe that you need extra capacity, and we don't have capacity from our neighbors because we're supplying the neighbors as well.
Yes.
So we can't borrow from them. And you need that, almost like kickstarting battery. You need extra power
to get it started.
Yeah. So hence load shedding or controlled blackouts.
Controlled blackouts. So I mean, we I suppose we got going off on a tangent, but from Volvo's point of view, how do you see load shedding, the grid problems, the infrastructure issues when it comes to electric vehicles and electric cars? Because it's the first question anybody ever asks me. I'll look at someone and they'll see me in an EV for the first time, and one of the first questions is,
what about load shedding? Yeah. How do you charge during load shedding?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of issues. The first one, load shedding, it is a consideration, but it's very easy to overcome that. Load shedding is for 2 or 3 hours in the day on some days. So even if it's continuous load shedding, not every suburb gets hit every day.
Yeah.
So if you're going to charge at night, it might take, let's say, 4 hours to charge. So if you have load shedding, include 2 hours. And if you happen to have load shedding at night, 2 hours, interruption, 2 hours. So I don't think that's a real issue when it comes to that. The grid infrastructure, I think, is more of a concern, where even now at petrol stations, we might not be able to have more than 2 or 3 charge points because the current infrastructure, and that's just for Eskom, or if there's a new entity coming in to upgrade the cables and the infrastructure.
Yeah.
I think that will happen as we move into the EV future. But right now there are at least 2 charging points at most of the points that we discussed every 200 kilometers.
Yes.
And they're managing.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had an issue. I've never stopped at a charging point.
Have you had to wait for someone to finish?
No, we don't have enough EVs.
I saw somebody's tweet, one of the journalists recently, that posted a picture because both were taken. And I think he was driving EV. It will happen, but then shopping centres will have more and more points.
Yes.
Yeah.
When there's demand, there will be supply.
There will be supply, exactly. Exactly. So people, load shedding is not an issue. Infrastructure, different story, but infrastructure is managing at the moment. I mean, fastest charger in South Africa, I think, is the one near to Ventersburg.
Yeah.
It's 80 kilowatts.
And that's charging on average to full. How long would you say?
Well, I mean, this car would charge in about an hour.
Well, I think 0 to 80. Well, I think the common thing is 10 to 80. That will be an hour, maybe just under that.
Yes.
Once you get into the 85 to 100%, that will take a long time.
Okay.
But 10%, you'll never be zero because you have to get there, right?
Yeah.
And you'll never freewheel down. So it's a 10% to 80% with that kind of charger, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
But then depending where you need to go, maybe you only need 15, 20 minutes of the fast charger.
I think that's a misconception, the fact that you need to charge to 100%. Because what I've learned in driving an EV every day is that there's a law of diminishing returns when it comes to, if you look at the charge curve, it drops sharply after about 40, 50%. It starts to drop off. When you get to 80, 90%, your car's actually charging slower than what it was at the beginning. And the car manages that. It's not the charge point that manages it. So I always say, and now I'm used to my EV. So if I go on a long trip, I will charge to get to the next charge point. I won't charge to 100%. The first time I did it, it was a problem because your head just can't get around this. But if you charge to 80%, you're actually going to charge faster at each charge point than what you would if you charge to 100%.
So essentially, charging from 0 to 10 is quicker than charging from 90 to 100.
Yes. If you look at
it's not like a constant.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also if you're charging at home and if you have 10 hours at night,
you
just put it on charge. It doesn't matter, how fast you're going to charge.
Yeah.
You want it to be charged in the morning.
Yes.
Whether it finishes at 6 in the morning or at midnight, it doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
So then you'll charge it to 90%. I think the most efficient is 90% in terms of battery life. But if you're going on a long trip, you charge it to 100%. If you know you only need 20%, charge it to 90.
Yeah.
Then you don't care how long it takes. When you get home, plug it in again, and whether you use 10% or 50%, it will just charge it back up.
Yeah. So range anxiety, I mean, you've been driving the car now for about a week. Have you experienced this idea of range anxiety? Is it like a
real thing?
When you climb into the car, even though it's 100%, because of this notion of you can't just pull up and charge or fill up quickly.
Yeah.
You watch the
drop
it, but we discussed it before the show. For whatever reason, the car wasn't charged fully. It wasn't charged at all the before. So when I took it home, it was 41% or 42%.
Yeah.
I went home, came back to the office, it was 21%. And as long as you know, and you get a range finder as well, so it's not just a percentage, you get told how many kilometers there are. I think you get used to it.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do get used to it. So
what I was going to say is that with a normal ICE car, when it's empty, you go fill it up. With a battery car, you fill up when you get home. If it's 60%, charge it.
You just charge it, yeah. It's not like you wait for your phone to die before you start charging it.
Exactly.
That's very true.
Yeah,
very true. So we're almost out of time, and that's been fun. So Greg, any final thoughts? What is in Volvo's future that you can share with us? And any kind of final things you want to leave with consumers that want to consider a Volvo or even the XC40 Recharge.
Yeah, I think for sure the EV is the future. The adaptation in South Africa will probably take longer than the rest of the world. But in the premium segment, I think that will happen a lot sooner than what we were anticipating 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And if I look at the demand for the car, the first 15 were sold out within a couple of days. And as we got more and more allocation, also they went very quickly. I think there's a real demand for those cars. And I think it will happen. It's very exciting.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Any final thoughts there, Wandie?
No, I'm just really excited to see what happens next. I want to see some of the smaller Volvos as well. So I'm going to hold you to it, Greg. I want to see some smaller EVs that, everyone can get.
They'll be coming through.
Nice.
That's in the future as well.
That's been epic, ladies and gentlemen. And Greg Maruszewski, CEO of Volvo South Africa. And as usual, Wandile Sishi. And I am George Mienie. And it was nice to talk to you.